Will you meet me in the country in the summertime in England? Will you meet me? Will you meet me in the country in the summertime in England? Will you meet me? By the church of St. John, by the church of St. John, by the church of St. John, by the long grass. Summertime in England, will you meet me? Will you meet me? Down by Avalon, down by Avalon, down by Avalon, down by Avalon. Did you ever hear about, did you ever hear about, did you ever hear about Wordsworth and Coleridge, baby? Did you ever hear about Wordsworth and Coleridge? They were smoking up in Kendal by the lakeside, and down by Avalon, down by Avalon, by the church of St. John, by the church of St. John, by the church of St. John, by the lakeside. Well, we're doing the card, The Criminal, and you see I've written on there the video number that card was pulled out on was video number 99. The 99, the no card, yeah. And we said it was the opposite of the King and the Queen card, because the King and the Queen is the couple that made it, that lived according to the law of nature, and so made it comfortably through their King and Queen initiation. Whereas the criminal is the one who failed their initiation and now has to drink alcohol and smoke weed and all that sort of stuff, and be without a lady, be on their own for some time, a long time normally. Okay. Now this video that I just made, the one with me playing that song, that's the Van Morrison song, that is video number 100. There you go. Will you meet me in the country in the summertime in England at the Church of St. John? And that's where you'll see all the riffraff in Glastonbury all hanging around outside the Church of St. John, where the supermarket is, bumming some money to eat something from the supermarket or to buy something. So the other type, who is not smoking weed, smoking up in Kendal, you know, like Wordsworth and Coleridge, yeah, they'd made the same mistakes. Yeah, all the artists have. The Burroughs and all these kind of people, they're all the dark side, complete dark side. And so they've done the dirty on their lady, and now they have a lady, they've got to be a homosexual or something. Yeah, this is the karma of it. So To understand the pathway is important, and that everything that happens to you is a result of your own bad behavior, your criminal acts against others. And so the worst thing you can do to a lady, when you kiss a lady, you're joined with her. And if you do anything against that lady, if you go and, even if you look at another lady, you're going to find you're in trouble. You're in trouble with the law, yeah? Or the law and the Lord. The law and the Lord is a fairly similar word. You got trouble with the Lord. And Lord help you, God help you. God won't help you, only in the end. In the beginning you have to suffer. God will say, I never knew you. Who are you? Dare come and dirty my doorstep. And you can see the criminal class is dirtying the doorstep. Now, the homeless people are not the criminal classes, although 99% of them probably are, because there's so few monks on the road. And they wouldn't be messing up a doorway. They'd be completely clean wherever they are, perfectly dressed, clean, tidy, wild and free, without drugs and without alcohol, and very happy people too. And all the people doing the drugs and the alcohol, they're not happy. They never once were happy. Not once, even with any of that stuff they did, were they ever happy. They only were less happy than they were when they were coming off the high and on the bad downward poisonous stretch that you get after you've been smoking up in Kendal. That song. They were smoking up in Kendal, by the lakeside, and by Avalon, and down by Avalon. They're smoking. All those people are supposed to be on a spiritual journey. Smoking, yeah. Smoking, drinking, womanizing, manizing. Witches and warlocks. Glastonbury's full of them. And if you go down by Avalon, you better make sure that you can tell the difference. And at the highest level, you can't hardly tell the difference between the darkness and the light. The darkness is never a couple, never a loving couple that's always together. If they're a couple, they're always separate. He's doing his work, she's doing her work. Off, running around the world. Or lying in the long grass, you know. Will you meet me? Will you meet me? Will you meet me in the country? Meet me in the long grass, down by Avalon, down by Avalon. Will you meet me in the country, in the summertime in England? Will you meet me at the Church of St. John? We'll go smoking up in Canada, smoking that elixir, down by Avalon. Once, twice, 3 strikes and you're out. That's all you got. 3 mistakes and you're on the downside, joining the criminal classes. Yeah. I'll take 5. Okay, well, to get to the king and queen, you really have to go through being treated as a criminal. So the criminal classes can catch you and they can take you away and arrest you and throw you into prison, chuck you into a mental institution, do what they like with you, yeah? Because you disturbed them. And one of the most difficult lessons you have to learn on the way is that you cannot disturb the criminal classes. You have to leave them alone. Not get involved, smile nicely and go the other way. And if they were trying to argue with him, you can say, you might be right, or you could be right, you could be right, and move on. Don't argue with the criminal classes. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in the court of law, possibly. Probably not, though. You probably go through the mental institution route, and you may get arrested and end up in prison, because at the highest level we've all got to have this happen to us, yeah. Because we need to know, if we're going to be a leader, an elder of humanity, we need to know what it's like inside the prisons, inside the mental institutions. How are we going to get that experience unless we actually get arrested? Because you don't need the experience from the outside looking in. You need to know what it's like to have that done to you, yeah, that terrible thing. And so we're learning that we shouldn't really lock criminals up. It's not the right thing to do. And who is a criminal? Who will decide who a criminal is and who's not a criminal? Well, it's God that decides this, and God puts people where they're meant to be. If people are having trouble surviving in the criminal world out there, because it's a criminal world that we live in, and it's a world of hard knocks, and it can be difficult for sensitive people to deal with it, and sometimes they just can't. They can't deal with it, and they end up doing some bad act that God wants them to do, and they end up arrested and they end up in prison. Okay, this is what happened to the Charles Manson family. They were being pushed further and further and further out, so that they were no longer able to even survive properly without stealing. They had to steal to survive, to actually get food to eat and stuff like that, and become involved with drug cartels and all sorts of things, because there was no place for them, no proper place for them to be in the world. So what happened in the end is God forces you to commit some bad act, become a criminal, get processed by the system, and be put into prison where at least they can feed you, and you've got somewhere warm and comfortable to sleep, a proper bed, and a nice little room where you can be your monkish self and study your books or whatever it is, read the Bible, whatever you want to do, or whatever they allow you to do. You can't go running around in the world out there, because you've disturbed it too much. You haven't been able to cope with it. And so God always finds a solution. Yet it will also put you in there as somebody who hasn't done anything bad. You don't think you've done anything bad. Yet the people will put you there so that you can have that experience. And they'll leave you in there for a little while until you've learned what you need to learn, and then they'll let you out. They'll just want to see the back of you, yeah, and you'll go off and you've had your experience, and you say, okay, now I've had the Paul experience. Paul was arrested. I've had the Jesus experience. Jesus was arrested, nailed to a cross. You'll be nailed to a cross in some manner, of some equivalent. Torture will be done to you. There are many ways of torturing a person that they suffer pain inside, yeah. They can give you terrible drugs nowadays that cause you terrible pain inside, yeah. Once they put injected lithium into me, just once, just so I knew how terrible that was. And they said to me, I said, you can't put that in me. I said, I'm a perfect, pure, I only eat bread and cheese. I don't drink, I don't smoke. No, you can't put that stuff in me. He said, no, it's a law. This is in Austria, the law in Austria. You have to have it. You have to have it. And what a tremendous, painful experience, terrible experience that was, yeah. And so I was out the next day. You get out as quick as possible. And they gave me a new sleeping bag and a few other things. And so I got what I needed, but I also got to find out how bad lithium was and what the sort of torture that they can put people under these sorts of places. And yeah, I was a criminal because I was doing something in my father's house. I was in a church and I was just doing something at the altar in my father's house. And I said to them, this is my father's house, I can do what I like in here. They all jumped on me, dragged me to the ground, 5 people on top of me, and took me away, you know. Oh well, that's somehow you've got to have these experiences. So the criminals are all out there, all walking free in the world. And sometimes the monks and the nuns are locked up in prisons to keep them safe away from the criminal classes. So it's a funny sort of old world that we live in. And so what a criminal is, what a criminal isn't. There's a criminal in the world, and then there's a criminal in God's eyes. And if you're happy little chappy in prison, reading your Bible and getting fed, then as far as God's concerned, you're not a criminal at all. You're God's son or daughter. And God is the one that makes you happy. And if God makes you happy, God's happy with you. It's as simple as that. So, you don't want to go meeting those people down by Avalon, but you'll have to be down by Avalon. And if you ever find yourself sitting outside the Church of St. John, which you will, or you might be playing some music, sitting on a bench there, in front of the Church of St. John, what you won't find yourself doing is asking anybody for money, or asking anybody for anything, because as a little monk or nun, I don't know about nuns, monk, as a little monk on the journey, you ain't allowed to ask for anything. If you're asking for anything, you're part of the criminal classes. It's that simple. And I don't know whether we can do that song again. We'll do it on this guitar. We're not using this microphone, we're just on the camera here, so I don't know, I'll have to play very quietly because it's very tinny sounding, that. So, what was it? What key was it in? I haven't played yet this morning. Meet me in the country in the summertime, England. Will you meet me? Will you meet me in the country in the summertime, England? Will you meet me? Down by Avalon, down by Avalon, down by Avalon, at the Church of St. John. At the Church of St. John, at the Church of St. John. I used to sleep in the doorway of the Church of St. John. Down by Avalon, down by Avalon, summertime in England. Will you meet me in the country in the summertime in England? Down by Avalon. And we haven't lit the candle yet. What we're going to do now is we're going to pick the next card for our next video. And so let's do that now. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get the reading for the next card in your feed, we're eliminating the card that it isn't. Which hand will do the moving? We don't know. Which one? This one? Which one? That one? Which one? This one? Helping nature. Helping nature. Okay, alright, let's have a look at that. And these ones are going back, going away. Oh, not in there. In here. Ah, you keep them in order. So I know what number they are.